justifiable reason to protect himself from that blood exposure, and that's what we're saying.
And was this blood, I mean, how was he wiping it? Can you explain that at all?
He was bent over. If you look at the video, he's handcuffed, he was picked up, and he's bent over, and as he starts to stand up, he wipes from the officer's right arm up across his body to the left side. The officer then jumps back and swings his arm up. It's not a closed-handed punch. It's not any type of punch or closed-handed strike. It's an open hand. He brings his arm up and clears Mr. Montanez's head out of the way to prevent him from continuing to wipe blood up his body.
And the attorney for Montanez asked for, he said, you know, I don't just want a city investigation of this, I want it at a state level. But where does that stand? Are you guys saying?
No, we are very capable of investigating our own problems. In the past, we have information that comes forward to us. We investigate it internally. If it's justified that our officers are disciplined, we do that and have done that in the past. If we find out that the actions taken by the officers are justified, we support them wholeheartedly, and that's this case here. You know, I would question Mr. Allen's personal motives in what is taking place here. What we're interested in is proving to the public that our officers are professional, and I think this video shows that. Once the officer jumps back away from Mr. Montanez, extricates himself from the exposure to the blood, you don't see the officers reacting in a violent manner towards the assault against the officer. They professionally take him to the vehicle, place him in the vehicle, and he's driven to York Hospital for his medical treatment. That could have occurred many different ways, but to me, this shows the professionalism of our officers that we have.
Chief, did the charges that were ultimately pressed against Mr. Montanez reflect this action where he raised his arm and tried to spread blood onto the officer?
We tried to spread blood with his head. He was cut in the head, but no, it does not.
So he wasn't charged with resisting arrest?
No. He was charged with resisting arrest, but not because of the blood exposure, because of his actions prior to that.
Should he have been charged with?
You know, in hindsight, maybe that's something that could. When we charge people, we don't always charge them with every single crime that they commit at the time of their arrest. We look at what the best charges are and how we can present it best to a jury. The officer has to make that decision at the time of arrest, so one could sit back and say, well, maybe we should have done that. I will tell you there are many times a punch against a police officer is an aggravated assault. The majority of times when someone punches a police officer here in the city, they're arrested for harassment. It's just a decision that is made. We reserve the aggravated assault charges for the most serious encounters that our officers have with people on the street that are trying to injure them. The officer most likely looked at the situation, determined that the blood exposure was minimal, he was able to protect himself, and therefore the charges weren't brought. One thing that we do need to do, I think, here in the future, when you look at the Crimes Code of Pennsylvania, there's an exact section for blood exposure for prison guards, but police officers are not included in that. And I think the legislature needs to take a look at changing that to make sure that our officers are also individually listed within that specific section for blood exposure.
Chief, what steps did the officer take, following the arrest of Mr. Montanez, as far as to ensure his health?
Our officers can clean themselves using soap and water. We also provide our officers with a product called Mind Cleanse, which they can spray directly on their person. They can spray it in their eyes, they can spray it in their mouth, depending on where the blood exposure happens, to try and limit the transfer of any diseases that may be within that blood.
How about this? Do you know about this officer in particular?
No, and I'm not going to go into what he personally did or did not do after the event took place.
Can you identify the officer?
No. As with any other internal investigation, we're not going to identify the officer that was involved.
Chief, as you know, when something is on the internet, it tends to live forever. Any thoughts about the fact that this video will continue to be on the internet for who knows how long, and will continue to portray in the way it's displayed a negative image of the York City Police Department?
There's nothing we can do about that. We're bringing the information to you all today. Hopefully you all will take this information and put our side of what did occur and what we feel did occur out to the public. They can make their own decision from there. I can't be concerned with what each individual person sees and does not see within within a video that may be out there. What I was concerned with was the actions that took place by our officers, were they justified or not justified, and we believe that they were justified in this case.
Was it frustrating to have to wait that time period when it was out there and people were talking about it?
I'm sorry.
Was it frustrating to have to wait when the video was out there and you couldn't respond to it?
It's frustrating, but it's part of what we do. I just hope that, and the message we try to relay to the people that out there that would call us is that please wait until the investigation's complete. One thing I've learned in my time as a police officer is nothing is ever as it appears. You need to gain all the facts, the totality of what took place before you make a decision as to what did or did not occur. And I think this proves that. You can watch that video, you can see there's a weird reaction from the police officer, but there's no way but from watching that video that you can tell that this person is exposing that officer to a bloodborne pathogen threat.
Mr. Allen had indicated to us a few weeks ago that he intended to file complaints on several fronts. Do you anticipate that in addition to the complaint that he announced, I guess a week and a half ago, that there will be additional complaints through the New York Human Relations Commission, a federal civil rights lawsuit, or any other venue?
That's nothing that we control. Mr. Allen's free to do that. We have attorneys all the time file lawsuits irregardless of the truth of the matter of what took place. So that's a decision that he'll have to make, and we'll work from there. One thing that we do want to bring out is, and we talked about this before, when the YouTube video initially came out, our officers are aware that they live in a fishbowl. They're aware that they're being videotaped. We just went through the process of installing brand new videos within our police cruisers. So the officers know that they're being filmed, they know they're being watched. We expect them to act in a professional manner on a routine basis, and we know that they're acting that way. And to me, this video just proved that they are acting that way. Anything else? Thank you.
And you said you had a call.
Yeah, Iris, can you give me a piece of tape, please?